Question number 3, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr Speaker, this question is to the Minister of Social Development and asks, are the current policy arrangements for New Zealand superannuation fair and equitable?
Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, yes. And I would note that under the National-led government, the married rate of New Zealand superannuation has increased by 29%. This has boosted the fortnightly married rate payments by $249 to $1,129 since 2008. This significant increase reflects inflation adjustments, increases in the average wage and tax and ACC reductions. That may well be the reason for for this government's strong support from older New Zealanders.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question. Right Honourable Winston Peters.
How can she justify the confiscation of contributory overseas pensions under Section 70 of the Social Security Act for those who have spent part of their working lives in countries such as the UK, Netherlands, Canada and Germany?
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, because we believe that the direct deduction policy is to ensure that all superannuitants are treated equitably and receive the same income. So it is because of that reason that we do it.
Supplementary question. Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Why is there a double standard between those penalised by Section 70 and the migrants from countries with no state-run pensions who are given full New Zealand super after only 10 years residency, keeping their private savings intact?
Mr Speaker,
Honourable Paula Bennett.
The direct deduction policy is about those that have paid into a government superannuation scheme overseas. For those that are in New Zealand and have been here for 10 years resident, then we consider them New Zealanders and they are eligible for New Zealand super, and I do think that is fair.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question. Right Honourable Winston Peters.
What justification is there for the unfair application of Section 70 to a spouse's entitlement to New Zealand super, and how would the Minister respond to the human rights class action in regard to spousal entitlement in New Zealand?
Mr Speaker,
Honourable Paula Bennett.
For that very reason that it is a spousal entitlement, so it considers both people. What it is about those people that have been in New Zealand for over 45 years, as the member knows, that have been paying their taxes towards a universal superannuation scheme. It is not fair that those that have been overseas for some time actually get more than they do. We think it's fair to New Zealanders, and that's why we have the policy.
Supplementary question.
Order. Supplementary question. Right Honourable Winston Peters.
How is she expected to be believed in defending the right of people who have been here for 10 years only, no need to pay tax or make any contribution at all, and her vote against the review of Section 70 in 2013? And will she commit to a mandatory review of Section 70 to give 70,000 people affected adversely by her policy and overseas pensions a fair and equitable outcome?
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Paula Bennett.
Well, I encourage that member to actually price out his policy, because actually it is hundreds of millions of dollars to look at Section 70. We don't think that is fair to New Zealanders that have been working here, that have, in many respects through their taxes, paid towards a universal superannuation scheme, and they should be on an equal footing with those that have been overseas for some time.
Supplementary question. Yeah, 5. Mr Speaker, this is a dynamic question. Could I seek leave to ask this question on the last day of the House?
Order.
In the interest of 70,000 people suffering?
Order. The member's absolutely entitled to seek leave.
Thank you very much.
I'll hear from Mr Brownlee before I put the leave.
Mr Speaker.
Order. Mr Brownlee.
I want to make it quite clear that was no reference to the Right Honourable Winston Peters, but...
I was more concerned it was a reference to me.
No one would surely...
Mr Brownlee.
Can I suggest that you take one of our allocation and we'll give it to Mr Peters? This is going so well.
That seems a very fair solution. Supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
I knew those polls were shifting. Supplementary question, and thank you to my colleague over there. Has she considered New Zealand First's enlightened and fair solution of proportional entitlement to New Zealand super based on adult years of residence in New Zealand, and to leave people's overseas pensions alone as considered by the Retirement Policy and Research Centre to be a fair policy?
Speaker.
Honourable Paula
Mr. Speaker, I have looked at it and I don't think it is fair. So, some people would lose money and I don't think that that's right. And equally, I think the difference is that we believe those that have been eligible for New Zealand residency and have been here and present for 10 years to be New Zealanders. And actually, unlike that member who thinks that they should be treated differently and worse, we think they should be treated equally with other New Zealanders.
Point of order, Honourable Trevor.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to check the rules with regard to flashes in the House. Mr. Hayes appears to be flashing from a camera.
Order, 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 order. I will deal. Order. Order. I'm on my feet and I am standing up. It was an issue I was going to raise later in the day. There are, frankly, no rules around the use of cell phones by members while they're in this House. But for the benefit of Mr Mallard and for all members, I think that is starting to create some difficulties where we impose very stringent rules on the way the press gallery is allowed to photograph members in this House. And it's going to be very difficult for any Speaker to enforce those rules if we have a carte blanche arrangement here in the House where members are using phones to photograph others. But a simple answer to your question, this issue, Mr Mallard, has yet to be addressed. Question number... Supplementary?
Point of order, sir.
Point of order, Brendan Horan.
Sir, I seek leave to table a letter I received from a 76-year-old pensioner who's been in New Zealand for 40 years and would lose $100 a week under New Zealand First policy of qualifying...
Order. The member will resume his seat. The document has been suitably described for the House to decide whether it wants. Leave is sought to table this particular letter. Is there any objection? There is. Question number 4, Jackie Dean.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Associate Minister of Local Government and asks, how